Yep. It totally screwed the whole process up. We were just about to go out and do festivals. We toured. We did some shows with some pretty popular bands back then, and we were just about to take off, and then boom, we're not putting that album out. We spent years recording it, basically, with producers that were at that time, and engineers. $150 an hour in the '80s wasn't, cheap.
Nope.
So the bass player still has legal battles with it, and if it ever does get released, we might sell some, but I highly doubt it at this point. But,
That's crazy.
yeah, it's definitely rough. And then there's deals, you get, and then the other band members don't want to sign, so you all got to be on the same page and know what each other wants. So if something happens, it doesn't blow up internally, because that's basically what happened in most situations. Everybody had a different idea when we got to the table, and we're like, we really should have talked about this shit as a band before we went into this, knowing, what we should know what we want before we had these meetings. And now we're there, and I want to sign, you want something different, this guy wants something different, and then everything just implodes. And that's how I wound up in Florida, because we had a big record deal on the table, basically. The band got changed around, and I basically got fucked, so I was pissed off, but it happens. So that's one thing, is you got to be on the same page.
What I think we all agree on, I hope, what we're going to know right now, regarding a label.
That's it, I'm done. No.
It's networking. There's the biggest thing that a label can offer us as a band. Like, I don't want to sound arrogant, but I don't want to get produced into the ground.
Yeah, I hear you.
I don't want to get manipulated. All that. I mean, some of it's going to happen. You can't avoid somebody investing into your material, having some kind of say in it. You're living in a fantasy world if you think that's how it is.
Right.
But I'd like a label that's willing to keep that to a minimum. And what I would like to see a label provide is, I'd like to see if there's one out there that's a little bit loose. And the thing that they really want to do is they want to help distribute. And if one of their bands is coming into town, we open up for them. Or if we're on tour, one of the other bands on the label that lives around there can open up for us. To me, that seems a lot more sane and reasonable,
practical
of a thing. Yeah, like just something. Okay, cool. We're here to support you. We're not here to blow you up. And I imagine these kind of labels do exist, but it's not going to be like Rise Records or anything huge. It's just going to be, somebody a lot like us who just wants to help out and create a platform.
Yeah,
I know there's stuff out there like that. We just got to learn how to find it.
Yeah, that's pretty much. It's a little easier. Because the bigger labels aren't really signing more of independent bands. They're bringing them up through their other divisions now, and I don't know. It's just the whole digital thing, but they got to figure out how to get it out there. And now they're talking about all of this cryptocurrency shit, and I don't know. I don't think any of that's going to work, because someone's not going to convert their dollar into another type of currency.
You're talking about like Bitcoins and stuff?
Yeah. There's a couple of companies now that are trying to give incentives to bands. They're doing the blockchain thing. And by giving the bands and the fans incentives to convert their currency to cryptocurrency, but they don't understand that it's easier for someone to just download it off Bandcamp and do shit like that. No one wants to convert their money to something else. And they talk about how if you buy the album, we'll give you so many coins back, and hope that that's worth it and you can convert it to Bitcoin. But Bitcoin is so volatile. If you cash it in, if I pay you $10 for your album in Bitcoin might not be worth that tomorrow. So tomorrow when you cash it in, if it's $6, you just lost $4 on the deal. I don't think I don't think that that's a good way to do it. this shit started as stuff for the black market, and they're trying to make it, mainstream, and it's people are too lazy to convert their shit unless they think they're gonna get something from it in the long term. And just to buy an album, I'm not converting my money into anything. I'm just gonna buy it and give the band cash directly. That's, to me, the best way to do it. But
we're not complaining.
I like cash.
Cash is king. I mean,
cash is decent, we're good.
But anybody I've talked to in the
cash.
industry about it, I mean, these people wanted to come on my show and talk about it, but I've talked to some pretty big people in the industry, and they're like, I don't want anything to do with it. I'm like, at least read about it. I did the research on it. It's interesting to see that someone's trying to revolutionize the music industry, but I don't think that's what's going to do it, to be honest with you. That's just my opinion. I think bands coming up and taking a stand for themselves, like going into a record deal and making sure they're getting what's right for them, is what's going to change it. You have to change with the time and give your music away. I mean, and make it up in shows and ticket sales and merchandise. That's the era we're in. We just have to deal with it. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I'd rather give my songs away and to get my music out there and get it into people's hands, and then worry about all the bullshit later. If you want to buy a shirt, fine. If not, oh well, at least you heard my song.
We're all gearheads too, Jay.
I hear you.
We are all gearheads too. And so a lot of energy and thought goes into how we're going to bring our sound to a. I think it's control. I think the more control you have over volumes and tones and balancing and EQ and stuff like that. Alex and I just recently all three of us, April too, none of us use cabs in most shows anymore.
Nope.
We're all like playing bias heads. What's your rig, April? What are you using right now?
I got a Mark bass combo head. It's a two. It's only, I think, I have to look at it. I think it's only like 300, 400 watts, and it's a beast. It was like $1,300, and it weighs like 30 pounds. And my goal was I wanted to be able to lift my gear because I get stranded on stage a lot. So my bandmates help me, but like I can't. I'm like, help. So my goal was I wanted to be able to get my shit on and off by myself, and I accomplished that. And I don't think I sacrifice any sound quality with
that's funny that you guys brought that up, because I was just talking about this, and a lot of people see, when Judas Priest goes out on the road, they see 500 Marshalls stacked up on the stage. Half of them
aren't plugged in.
Yeah, they ain't plugged in. They're not plugged
They're
in.
just refrigerators, man.
Yeah, that's just, it's to hold all their beer and their weed and vodka. But I just went and seen Scott Stapp from Creed over at the Hard Rock Hotel in Orlando over there, and they did not have any amps. Nothing. They plugged direct into their pedal board. They had some setup. I mean, I know that the Hard Rock provided all that, but they didn't. They never use it. They don't have any cabinets. That's it. I mean, it sounded great. It brought a totally more direct sound. It just sounded better. You didn't have that stage sound competing with the rest of the PA, I guess. I mean, it just it was so. It sounded so good. I was so blown away. It was just so weird, because that's the first time I ever seen someone at that level not have a backline like that. I was like, wow. It looked so weird that the stage was so open and just a drum kit. And I was like, wow, that was so cool. I mean, they put on a great show. It sounded great, but it's just interesting how everything has evolved over the years into that. And I think more bands should take that approach. I really do.
I think too, like the quicker you can get your stuff on stage and the lighter your stuff is, the more time you have to make sure you're dialed in properly and things are hooked up properly. You're not tripping over yourself. And if you play a smaller venue, you have, I mean, our drummer, Telf's got a pretty big kit.
Yeah.
And he takes up a lot of room. So if we play a smaller venue, you know, having enough room to fit Telf and still be able to move around and put on a good show and trust our gear and that it's reliable and it's easily transportable, I think is really important.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd agree. I mean, I was always the singer, so I just brought a microphone with me. But I always helped with the band stuff. And, you know, it's way cheaper to tour. I mean, I went and seen Twisted and some of these rap groups, and the only band that had any equipment was Andrew Boss. They were on and off quick, but these guys can be so efficient at touring. I mean, they're just going up there and they got their background music. In some cases, they just have a drummer too, but it's just so efficient. And they can bring so many bands, and you can make more money on tour because you don't have to worry about lugging all the equipment around and renting trailers and shit like that. It just it simplifies the whole process. It's still weird from an old school point of view to not see Marshall stacked up there. Yeah, it's just, but again, the times change, and you just got to roll with it. So I dig it. I think it sounds great.
That's part of our commitment to ourselves. Is you know, for every few minutes that we think about how we could be benefited by a label or how we could draw more people in, for every 2 minutes we spend thinking about that, we spend 20 minutes thinking about how to make our sound better, and how to focus on. I feel like that's more of what you can directly control, is your musicianship and your development, you know, musically with everybody else. Because I mean, as far as I can tell so far, you know, how much people like you sometimes can feel like a roll of the dice.
I agree with that. And you know what? The days of record labels developing you are long gone. They don't want to invest in you as far as that. They want to see a product. They want to see a band. I hate to bring up Creed again, but they recorded their first CD for $500 and Wind Up Records bought it. They want to see a finished product that they know they got musicians who can put a product out, produce it with minimal investment. That's just really what they want to do. Where are you guys? What is that? A truck?
That's somebody's phone.
It sounds like a truck horn.
I'm going to bet it's Telf.
Telf just came back. I think he dropped a second ago. He just came back.
So it's you, Oscar, then, because my phone is in my hand, so I won't make that noise. It's got to be you, Oscar.
You can blame me, but my phone's laying on my desk.
So it's Telf. Funny. It can't be Alex, because he's like our networking guru. He would know better.
He knows.
It's all right. I just thought, I was like, what is that?
That's another cool thing about this band, is that everybody has such different expertise, too, like outside the music. I've never felt like this much trust. Like when it comes to doing like the website and sorting out a lot of the virtual details, Alex has been amazing at that process. There's things that he understands that I'm like, oh, do I push the button now?
That's funny. But yeah, I mean, there's always going to be, in any band I was ever in, we always try to, you know, find people that, you know, played a different role or could play a different role in the band. I always had that pressure because I always took a lot of it on myself, and I don't know if that was a good thing because it made me feel like I felt like I was a control freak. But I really wasn't, because I always involved the guys. But when you put every decision on me, man, it was hard. Every show, every piece of artwork you want to show me, let him approve it. He's got the experience. You know, it gets old after a while, but to do it by yourself. So everybody taking a role is always a good thing, and it balances it out. So
it's been pretty incredible.
Yeah, we're like a company. We're like a corporation with different departments. Like,
You got to. I mean, it's an amazing amount of work. I mean, you talked about it, Jay. If you were taking all that on, I mean, I get it. You know, I mean, we all work extremely hard. I mean,